What's up, y'all? My name is Dontavious Hill, three-time Team USA high jumper with the current personal best of 7 feet 5 inches. I've competed in Olympic trials, and I've also been a 5-time NCAA All-American and competed in the SEC. And today, guys, I'll be talking to you guys about controlling your speed in the high jump. The importance of not going too fast and not going too slow and really trying to find that middle ground, okay? So when it comes to high jump, the first thing a lot of people are thinking is, oh, if I go fast, if I just run as fast as I can jump higher, right? Or they're probably thinking, if I just slow down and take my time and prepare for the jump, I'll be able to put down a bigger jump, right? That's usually the main two concepts and ideas that people usually have about the event that are not completely correct, right? There's a mix of both that go in there that I'm going to get into in this video, okay? So, number one, slowing down. So, in a high jump, when you slow down, it stops all the momentum that you have, right? So, if we just think about the high jump, so our high jump pit, we're coming in, if we're starting all the way here at the start of our approach, we're coming all the way through here. As a high jumper, we just did all of this work, taking all of these steps coming through here, just to get ready to slow down in those last 2 or 3 steps, right? Which is usually what happens for an athlete. Sometimes they may not have a fast approach, but they just slow down a little bit as they're coming through those last 2 or 3 to really prepare themselves to be able to take a jump, right? That's not what we want to do. When we slow down, it just destroys our momentum. All the momentum that we were going to be able to carry over the bar, into the pit, it stops short. It stops completely short. Right. And that's one way why you have a lot of athletes who come down on top of the bar. So they run their full approach and they come down on top of the bar, which is really surprising when you really think about it. Just think about this. Whenever you are high jumping, you're really coming from anywhere between 50 to 60 feet back if you got a 8 to 10 step approach. You ran a whole 50 to 60 feet. And when you left the ground, you weren't able to travel past something that is this wide. You weren't able to travel your body past that. That's an issue. If you're not able to do that, that means there's an issue in the approach where you're just slowing down, right? As a high jumper, if you maintain your speed, if you keep your speed up, you won't have to. If you keep your speed up, you will have the ability to pass through the bar, right? And a lot of times, a lot of athletes, they think, oh, I'm coming down on the bar. I just got to get my hips up. I got to do that. No. Or their hips are coming down on the bar. They just don't know why. They think they have to arch more. No, sometimes you're just not getting past the bar. So that's what actually not being able to have more speed or just being more slow in the approach itself kind of does to you as a high jumper. It slows you down. A lot of times you'll have athletes. I could just draw another here. You'll have athletes. If this is the bar, they're like, oh, I got a lot of height over this bar. Like I got plenty of height, but I'm just coming down right on it. They're just coming down right on it because they're not able to travel past the bar and actually clear the bar because they didn't do the work down here and finish their approach and get all the way through, right? So now let's discuss what happens when you are approaching this bar too fast. Okay, so let's just start here again. So we're down here and we're approaching our bar. So let's just say we approach the bar. We're attacking, and we just really attack the bar and we come through. What usually happens to an athlete who approaches the bar too fast, they're just out of control. They don't have control. So what happens a lot of times, that athlete blows right into the bar. They go right into the bar. So if this is the bar, let's call this our athlete who's coming in running extremely fast. Instead of going up and over the bar, athlete just goes boom, straight into the bar. They just go straight into the bar because they're not able to control that speed that's coming. They're just blowing straight through it. I call it blowing through a jump. You just blew through it. You blew through a jump. Like I sometimes call that a dud of a jump. I kind of call that a dud is more of like a dud takeoff, a blank. But this, you just blew through that bar. You weren't able to control, the forces that you was bringing through that approach, and you just kind of knock the bar straight down, or you kind of take off straight in that direction. That's what usually tends to happen with an athlete who's running too fast at the bar, right? What I want you guys to understand is that as a high jumper, although you do want to be fast, you don't want to be too fast, right? Although you want to be controlled, you don't want to be slow. So I'm about to explain the concept to you guys that's going to get you to understand where the middle ground is. All right. So as a high jumper, we're trying to find that middle ground. So I'm going to tell you guys what it is. To be great in the high jump, you want to be able to run at the bar as fast as you can control and convert upwards. All right? High jump is about converting horizontal velocity. When I say horizontal, high jump is about converting horizontal velocity going to the side into vertical velocity going over the bar. That's all high jump is. Everything that we do in the approach is supposed to be supporting us and helping us convert horizontal velocity into vertical velocity from sideways to up. When you run too fast and you get out of control, you are not able to control horizontal velocity and convert it up because you're just blowing straight through the horizontal. In high jump, vertically, when you slow down and you try to put down a big jump, you go vertical, but you don't have the horizontal to get past the bar. You come down on the bar. So how do we find that middle ground? How do you find it? So what you want to do is you want to practice being able to maintain as high a speed as you possibly can and convert it into vertical. That doesn't mean go out and sprint really hard and just try to run through the approach like that. No, that means comfortably approaching, knowing that you're trying to maintain a bit of a higher velocity or speed physically and still trying to take off onto the pit and go up, or take off into a jump and go up. This is not a drastic change kind of thing. This is something that you will get from practicing over and over. When you go to practice, just trying to be a little bit faster in your approach, trying to be a little bit better here. This is how you learn to develop going from horizontal to vertical and being able to do it at higher speeds. Because the high jumper who can maintain the highest speed, the highest velocity, is the one who can maintain that the most horizontally and be able to convert it up vertically. That's the person who is going to jump the highest. This concept remains true because if you think about this, there are people who can squat a bunch of weight, who can dunk the basketball all kind of ways and all kind of stuff. But then there's other people who are not very strong in the weight room, who can't really dunk crazy and can't do anything cool on the basketball court, but they can high jump really well because they know how to convert their horizontal speed to vertical velocity. That's because that's what the sport is all about. The person who will be great in the sport isn't just the one who can just jump high or just be strong or just have bounce. It's the person who can technically understand positions and understand what their body is supposed to be doing. So just to recap, guys, slowing down to try and get a good, comfortable jump in is not what we want to do. When you slow down and try to get comfortable, you're coming down right on the bar. Right on the bar. Every time. Take it from me. I know. I would come down on the bar so many times because I would just always be trying to slow down and get ready to power and jump. When I learned that controlling my speed and actually bringing more speed and being able to maintain it is what's going to get me over the bar, that was one of the best things I ever learned. That's how I went from jumping 6'3" to jumping 7 feet off of learning how to maintain my speed and go from horizontal to vertical. That's 9 inches of increase from a fix like this, right? There were other technical fixes that came along with it, but this was a very important one. The day I jumped 7 feet for the first time, that approach was consistent. There was no break in that approach. That approach, I went the entire way. It was dialed in the whole way. Consistently going, building speed, maintaining, coming all the way through horizontal to vertical. That's how you jump big bars, right? So let's talk about speed, right? Earlier we talked about speed and being too fast is not being a good thing, right? Too fast, you can blow straight through the bar. You just blow straight through it, right? But like I said, too much speed may be not a good thing, but having enough speed that you can control and convert vertical is great. And the best way to practice that is in practice, not going out all out sprinting to try and change something, but actually trying to, physically just turn that knob up a little bit, dial it up just a little bit more in your approach, dial it up just a little bit more, and just keep dialing it up just a little bit more and learn how to control more and more going through the horizontal, try and convert vertical. That's how you're going to get better. That's how you're going to be able to control more. That's why I can really gun a jump. I can really drive, I can go and still put a jump down. If you're the parent of a high school high jumper and your athlete struggles with things like controlling their speed in the high jump or other technical things that are holding them back from jumping higher, let me help. I want to invite you guys to a free high jump strategy session where I'll go over the things that are currently holding your athlete back from achieving their goals and craft a personalized plan to help them actually jump the heights they want to achieve. If you're interested, check the description and book a call with me so I can get you guys the help that you need. Let's get you the right guidance so you can jump the right bars.